What's up, world? It's your boy, the Bearded Brother, and it's season two of the Bearded Tastings. And I am excited about season two because you thought, and I thought season one, but then I started putting season two together, putting my guests together, and season two, this is the moment you want to jump in on the Bearded Tastings before it's too late. But enough about that. I have a fantastic guest. She's a great entrepreneur, a great partner, but even better, a great person, and I just had to get her on the show. I've been tracking her down, and we finally made it work. So I'm super excited on this day to have her on here. This is Christiana Afotey. Hope I
Thank
said the last
you.
name right.
You
Um,
did. You did.
yes. So
You nailed
she
it,
is the
man.
owner of Threads by Dreads, and so, but yeah, I was stressed about that name. I was like, I hope it's Afotey because that's
You
what
got it.
I always was.
You got
And
it.
so,
Thank you so much, Kramer. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and share my story and be able to dive deeper into bearded tastings. This is definitely something that I'm excited about. So thank you for the opportunity. Good to be
oh
here.
yeah, sure. And before I get started, I gotta crack open my beer. It's not a beer tastings
Oh,
podcast.
please do.
I got a beer
Without. Come on.
in
What is
hand.
that? What are we talking about?
Right. I was like, can I do this job? I don't know. But I'm starting off with a Memphis brewery called
Okay.
Full Spirits. It's a
Oh
new
wow.
brewery out there, and this is
Okay.
their IPA called Hoochie Coochie.
Oh wow, another one. Here
You
we
see it
go.
and you hear it. That's what I said.
Okay.
Like Nene Leakes, I said what I said. It's Hoochie
Nice.
Coochie. So,
Wow. And that's out of Memphis too.
yes.
That's amazing. Come on now. Come on, fresh crispness.
Yes, gotta love a can opening. That gets my attention every time.
Yeah.
I'm pouring this bad boy up. But as I'm pouring this up,
hmm
Christiana, who are you? What is Threads by Dreads, and
Yeah.
why did you create it?
Man, first of all, thank you. So, Threads by Dreads, who am I? I am the last of four children to Ghanaian parents. So, I'm the only first gen Ghanaian American child. And I wanted to basically tie in my culture, being Ghanaian, my heritage, being from the Adangbe tribe, being able to tie all that into the fact that I was born in New Jersey and there's a little bit of some influences from Jersey in my clothing as well. So trying to make it into a modern African with a little bit of a nor'easter with a Ghanaian flavorful vibe, right? So the reason why I created Threads by Dreads was I simply just wanted a scarf, like a head wrap or a scarf actually, to just tie on and take to work or just wear anytime. So I basically did that and had it to where it had, you know, the traditional Angelina or traditional African print fabric. Showed it to my mom. Mom was like, "Hey, you know what? This is nice, but you can do something more than this." And I was like, "You know what? You probably are right, but I'm not gonna take this to the offense because I actually like the scarf. I'm fine with just having a scarf." But she was like, "Nah, take it higher. Do more. You actually can make a whole clothing line." So, and that is the reason for why Threads by Dreads is what it is today. So, in addition to the apparel line, we basically came up. We, as in the Threads by Dreads Foundation, adopted a Mrs. Fidelia Adokale Mensah Scholarship Award in memory of her legacy, my mother. And now we have a living legacy right now for my dad, Seth
Okay.
Mensah Afotey. And we have two scholarships right now. So we're doing pretty well with not asking for money, but still being able to support the mission of the foundation. I'm not good at
Yeah.
asking for money at all.
I don't think
So
anybody really is,
I'm
to
like,
be honest.
fundraiser, what is that? Okay, so we are raising funds for, but
Or who?
yeah, yeah. So it's just like, to have an apparel line that gives back to the community, to students, high school students, and college students in Ghana is basically what the mission is for the foundation. Yes, cheers to that. Dang, I should have got me something. Maybe like a
Oh
little
yeah, get you some water.
bubbly
No,
apple
that's
cider or something next time. I got you.
no worries. Whatever helps you get through interviews, you know.
Right. That was good. Good move. I should have thought about that one.
No, it's all good. But um, That's a really cool story, and something was interesting that you mentioned. It was
Hmm.
like your mom wanted you to take the scarf higher than what it was.
Right.
And this is just talking about. I want to kind of get into like family dynamics of having an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
burgeoning entrepreneur in a
Mm-hmm.
Ghanaian family, because
Mm-hmm.
as you know, it's very popular. Like, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to
I
be
know.
something that is
Yeah.
straight down the line. You know where you can go with it. You know the
Yeah.
success rate.
Yeah.
Um, how was how impactful was that? Your mom saying like, take this
Yeah.
farther, rather than be like, yeah, no, why can't
I'm
you
actually
be a
good. Yeah.
doctor or a lawyer or something that I know always works?
Yeah. So great question. So my fortunately for me, and my siblings, our parents were they're very conservative. We're not very, what they are conservative. But the thing was, they wanted us to, when we start something, complete it, finish it, but also challenge yourself to do more, to take things to a higher level, right? To have a bigger impact, so to speak. So I think the pressure wasn't on, but the pressure was on. It wasn't on to be in the traditional engineer, lawyer, doctor setting. But
Right.
if I were to start college, she was like, you're going to finish your school. Go and finish your bachelor's degree. I'm like, you know what? I don't think school is for me. I just don't. So I took a break, went back to it, finished it, and I was like, okay, I'm glad that's done. So to see that, you know what, having the dynamics of being an entrepreneur, we saw it. Like my brothers and I and my sister, we saw it every day.
Right.
Yes, mom and dad went to their day-to-day jobs, their 9 to 5s, but you better believe they also had businesses on the side as well too. So
Love
mom
it.
was also an importer of Ghanaian products as well too that she sold here in the United States. And dad was a he's an architect, so he constantly is drawing up buildings, houses, and actually building them and making them come to fruition. So even though they had 9 to 5 jobs and working for the paycheck and getting those great benefits, they still were entrepreneurs. So of course, children see this. Me being the youngest, I'm seeing it and I'm taking in all of it, like soaking it all up like a sponge, right? And just seeing that my parents not only want us to be great at education, they don't want us to only be great at life, they want us to actually continue to also contribute to society. Like, what are we doing for our community? So in addition to running a business, in addition to working their 9 to 5, they also made sure that they helped their family and their relatives back home in Ghana. So and also here in the United States as well too. So yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then,
Inevitable.
yeah, it was given to you. Like, I'm the same way. My mom
Oh
became an
yeah.
entrepreneur because of her kids. She saw,
Oh wow.
and
Look
then
at
she
that.
still does it now. Like, she's killing
That's
it now.
amazing.
Even with the Pandora's box going on, she's
Right.
still killing it in her
She's still doing it.
organization. So
That's
I
amazing.
totally understand seeing that.
That's
So
amazing.
it's super awesome. Like,
Oh.
so I totally understand like seeing your parents. You're like, I want to do that. That looks
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and things like that. And I thought it was really cool that like you're the first born sibling in
Yes.
America. Like, um, does that help your relationship with your siblings at all? Like, you'd be like, oh, I want to know what it was like being over there, or
Absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely. To this day, I still ask, like, what do I do in this situation? Like, because the fiance and I are talking about, possibly having children, and we're like, so what do we name our first child? What's the middle first name look like? So it's just like some of the things that I may not have known at an earlier age. I usually lean on them and say, hey bro, hey sis, what's the role? What do we do in this situation? And the good thing is having that village, that I'm tapped into or connected with makes a world of a difference because there's so many deep traditions in Ghanaian history,
Right.
so many deep and wide traditions in so many different tribes on top of that. So it definitely makes it sometimes a little complex, but it helps to have my siblings to help out with those questions that I may have from time to time. But it did make it weird when I was talking to them when I first, was like, "Hey, bro," because they were born back home in Ghana. So when I first met them, I was like, "Oh, y'all have accents. Oh, you know, I, you know, I'm over here speaking proper English, and these guys are like, "Hey, so Christy, how are you?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm good." Like it's so it's so amazing. It's so beautiful. So it just when we all became, because they eventually got their visas to come over to the United States. When they
They're
when they
over here now,
landed,
not to cut you
yes,
off.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, they're here. Two of my brothers are in New Jersey. My sister's in Chicago. So we're like all
Okay.
over the place. And when we all got together in the house, it was just like, "Yo, mom, are you sure I'm part of this
Really?
family?" Like, everybody got an accent but me. It's just, she corrected me. She's like, "Don't you ever in your life say anything like that. I gave birth to you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's all I needed to know. That's
Right, right. And was that
it."
kind of your inspiration of learning God, your native
Yes,
language, and being able to like have that deeper connection and feel like even though
absolutely.
you were born in Jersey, you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
I can still confidently say I'm from Ghana because I know the
Absolutely.
language and understand the culture and things like
Yes.
that.
Yes, absolutely. That all tied into it. And on top of that, whenever I did speak English in the house, my parents would speak back in Ghana, and I would be forced to learn and to respond back in Ghana as well. So it was it was great. I loved it. I'm thankful they did that and showed me how to learn our language. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then you mentioned Babe a couple times, so we gotta give them a shout out.
Mhm.
That relationship and
Mhm.
kind of speak on her and like what she do and how'd you guys meet and how did that she kind of come about and relating to your parents. I'll let you make the big reveal because that's
Oh
your
yeah.
story to tell,
So
but
I think you were talking about fiance, right, Marquita?
fiance. That's
Yes, absolutely. It cut off the network cut off whatever it did. But so yeah, we met doing some work in town for their school. I wanted to actually go and of course volunteer some services and be like, "Hey, I can come in and teach, talk to the kids about entrepreneurship in addition to social enterprise, or just sewing, or just talk to the kids about Ghana." And that was our first initial just like sit down and talk to. We were already seeing people at the time, so it wasn't more like, "Oh, okay." It was for me to go and volunteer, talk to the children, and I want to say probably sometime later that year, she actually invited me to the Village Church in Madison
okay.
to come and speak to the members of their youth classes in regards to one of the biblical stories that was tied into. I think her name was Lydia. I'm not really good at remembering this particular story that well at the Bible from the Bible. So God forgive your little goat. So yeah, either way, I was supposed to be representing this person in the Bible, tied into the fact that they were also entrepreneurial. They were also giving back to the community. So from there, we were basically just talking. Fast forward to African Street Festival. This is where the sparks flew off. African Street Festival 2018. Um, I saw her walking, and she saw me walking. We were walking towards each other. I was holding one of my nephews to go get something to eat real quick, and gave her a hug and was like, "Hey, how you doing? How's everything going?" "Great," you know. But I knew after the first hug, it was something different there. It felt beautiful. It was great. It felt organic, and it felt like it's something I never felt before. So, fast forward probably 3 or 4 weeks later, we were both going through relationship, and we were already single at the right time. So it's like, hey, you know what? Let's just keep talking. It felt good to talk and get to know each other. And at the time, I was still doing events up and down the interstate, literally pop up events. But I was always in touch with her and talking and chatting it up and taking my dog Kofi on the road with me and hearing this little nigga in the background yelling at me and stuff. Great stuff. So but yeah, so 2018 African Street Festival is where it went down, and we've been stuck like glue ever since. So um, it's been beautiful. She's a Pisces, I'm an Aquarius. We're both high energy people, so it's the house is
I
is
always, I was like, I already know they're
it's
always
quiet.
busy. Trying to get all sit down for a minute is hard. I've been on my podcast for a minute now.
Oh,
She's like,
oh,
oh,
okay.
I gotta go over here. Just
Oh
I always see
my
her
God, forgive me.
running this way.
I know, I
She said
know,
over
man.
here, and then she gone. I'm like, I begin to think you weren't real. I'm like, I don't
Oh man.
in my imagination
Oh,
because I feel like I see her
please.
and I don't see her. Like, am I tripping?
Oh man, not at all, bro. Not at all. I'm so like I said, I'm so happy. Finally, we're sitting down and being able to do this. So this was
Oh yeah,
great.
for sure. And I want to talk about her a little bit more because it
Absolutely.
is a same-sex relationship, and
Yep.
another stereotype is like the LGBTQ community is
Mhm.
not a highly favored community in
Mhm.
some African cultures. So I was like,
I
how was
understand.
that navigating that? Your story of being growing
Yeah.
up, you obviously probably had this conversation with your family. How did that go, and how is it
Yeah.
navigating this relationship with Babe, whose name is I don't want to keep calling her Babe. Like I want to
Marquita.
Marquita. Yes,
Yes.
that's out to Marquita.
I know. I say that a lot, babe. Hey, everyone, meet Babe. What is Babe's name?
I know it's not Babe,
It's not. Shit.
but yeah,
But
like
yeah,
how's
so
that?
so a great question. So I want to say it was actually um, great that you asked and brought that up because it's something that I also was kind of experiencing as I went along. So um, 2019, no, I'm sorry, November of 2018, after about us being together for about 2 months, I was like, hey, let's make plans to go to Ghana together. Mind you, I've never taken anyone that I've been dating to Ghana with me. So it's a special thing for me. So I felt still continue to feel good about her, Marquita. She's definitely a special person to me. So um, but yeah, I'm trying not to tear up. Here we go. So I took her to Ghana, and I was kind of nervous how my family would react and how they would receive her and see her and I as well. So my aunts, one of my aunts is real close to me, and I introduced them, and they basically become family within seconds. Like she embraced her, she loves her, she asked about her. Um, to the point where the family orchestrated a naming ceremony for Marquita. So yeah, so she was given the name Abena, which is Tuesday born daughter, um, uh, through the Ashanti. And I was just like, this is dope to be able to go to Ghana and have my fiance, girlfriend at the time, be embraced by my immediate family members. Of course, not all of my family was warm welcoming to her. There were some that were, and it still are, weird towards me because I am lesbian. So they're like, oh yeah, you just need to go talk to Jesus and go marry a man and have children. You'll be fine. So it's just like that. I don't have time for that energy.
I got you.
You can say what you want to say. I don't have to hear that shit. So keep that shit and keep it moving. So, um, but yeah, it's just it's beautiful. The people that mattered were the ones that were there and are still there for both Marquita and myself through our union and the fact that we're two ladies that love each other and we welcome love. Love lives here. Literally, is what our doormat says. And we just yeah, it was definitely something I was nervous about for that plane ride from Nashville to New York to Accra, Ghana. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm about
Oh,
to take my girlfriend to Ghana. Can you imagine? Like, this is crazy. So I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous about in some situations where we're like walking out in public, holding hands, showing public displays of affection. So I wanted to kind of be a little apprehensive and be a little proactive with just, keeping, um, just being aware and alert about around my area and my babe and making sure we're safe. Because even though Ghana is a safe country, I don't know what people's intentions are. I can't read everybody's minds.
right.
So, I just want to make sure we're good and not being, too oblivious to what's going on around us. So,
I got you. I
yeah.
got you. And I love how you just really emphasize love and relationship and
Yes.
amongst family. And I want
Yeah.
to talk more, go a bit more, especially
Absolutely.
going to the story of like Threads by Dreads.
Mhm.
Talking about you mentioned it earlier. You have the foundations and reaching
Mhm.
out to Ghana. I kind of just want to talk about like your inspiration a little bit more about Threads by Dreads. Like,
Mhm.
was it just something like outside the scarf? Did you see anything else besides needing just wanting a scarf, or you see like there's no connection
Yeah.
amongst like black people to Africa in any kind of way, and this is the best I can do is create this. Like, what
Yeah.
was that deeper story behind you just needing the scarf?
Yeah. It was really because I didn't see it being represented in the stores. So the fact that I didn't see something that I wanted to wear in the stores that I shopped at the time was frustrating for me. And I wanted more out of my wardrobe. I'm not a great shopper for myself, probably. So, to be able to design something and sketch it out and pick your own fabric and make it come to fruition was something that was a plus. And I definitely didn't see anything past having a scarf. So to have mom's vision, and her being that visionary person, it was just like a light bulb went on, and it was just like, wake up, you actually have something more that you can show us and bring out, from Ghana and whatever it is that you're trying to work towards. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, I always love talking about like finding the gap in the market, and
Yes,
usually always the gap is representation, whether it's
yes,
in clothing,
correct.
like you said, or in beer.
Yes,
Like
yep,
you'll see hip hop inspired beer, but like
yeah,
drinking the beer. You'll
right.
see
What?
you see the Chad Pauls, the Sarahs, and the Jacquelines drinking it and loving it,
Like,
but like you
be
don't see
real.
black
Yes,
people in there. So
yes.
um
Preach about it.
I always like making sure. Oh yeah, for sure. Like having that representation is huge. Representation,
It
representation,
is. It is.
representation.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of speaking on that representation and talking about
Mm-hmm.
your foundation and things like that. But yeah, like I just totally forgot my question just that
Uh oh.
quickly.
It's all good. It's all good.
But maybe it'll
I can
come back.
speak a little bit more on representation while you're still like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely just talking about like.
yeah.
Oh, here's my question: is
Oh, there it
like
is.
when you were coming up with these designs, were
Yes.
you the one drawing them, or did you have someone draw up stuff for you? Just kind of,
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
you still do that now? Do you do your own designs, or you still outsource
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it basically came down to me just sketching stuff out on my Note 8 Galaxy. Yes, it was an Android. That's where it started on Androids. So using that and playing around with what it looks like on digital paper, but not actually knowing how this will look on someone, right? Like the mechanics of this shirt. Can it actually have a zipper here and someone be able to get their body into the shirt? Or can I make a shirt without any zipper or any buttons and someone get into it? No, it's not realistic. Like, the cotton fabric that we use for printing our fabric does not stretch. So, just to figure out those logistics, I wanted to learn more about what makes fabric into a garment. Like, how does this logistically work? How does this look on someone? How does this move with them? In addition to doing that, I wanted to, of course, seek out as much knowledge as I possibly could. So I went and enrolled at Sewing Training Academy, off of 28th Avenue North, Nashville. It's held at the Magruder Center, to be not, ran by Catholic Charities, for this particular program, and
Right.
went and dug deeper into learning more about sewing. So did about a year, maybe 9 months to a year there of learning the fundamentals of sewing machine, using a straight stitch sewing machine, and actually being able to see that it takes a whole lot to make this sketch on your phone come to life and make it look like an actual outfit or a piece of clothing someone can wear. Um, you know, thread, the different types of linings, fabric, whatever other things you want to add to it to give it that flavor. So, so sometimes I will use my inspirations from Sewing Training Academy. In addition to, as far as sketching, I do all the sketches myself. But there are times where I'm just like, hey, let's just make something that's just ready to wear, something that's similar to these visionary things that I've gathered ideas from, and just make it come together. So, but yeah, I still to this day still use my phone to sketch out designs, which I don't know if it's good or bad, but it seems to be working just fine so far.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
totally understand that, and
Yeah,
I did want to jump into the foundation.
sure.
Why did you create the foundation, and what does the foundation do
Absolutely.
for the recipients?
Absolutely. So I would say upon my mother's 1 year transcending anniversary, a year after she passed, I went back to Ghana. I go to Ghana regularly. I haven't been in a couple years because of COVID, but I went back 2016. It was April, and I said I want to go to the slave castle and see what my ancestors have to tell me. I want to listen to what messages they left for me at the slave castle. So went traveled to Cape Coast, which is I don't even think it was that far away, probably like maybe 2 or 3 hour drive. Um, and I was shook. My whole core was shook. I totally didn't understand how at the castle there was a church, a Presbyterian church, right on top of the slave dungeon, and this was a Christian church. So it was just like that. Also was like a backslap to the religion that we were brought up in. My mother was Presbyterian, but I've always been kind of weary about praising white Jesuses and shit. So I never understood it. I still don't know too much about you know being a Christian, so to speak. So
Hmm.
I don't say I'm a Christian, even though I do believe that there is a higher power out there. Um, but I'm still conflicted about some things. Why'd you take my mother away? She served you all her life, and she was a devout Christian, everything. And where were you? Type of thing. So, but other than that, get back to the slave castle. I basically, took the tour and was crying and weeping for everyone that was lost, everyone that was stolen, everyone that was murdered, everyone that was neglected, everyone that was abused. And I basically said to myself, there's no reason why I can't do more than just make clothing. There's no reason why I also I can't do this. So our ancestors sacrificed so much. So I wanted to be able to say thank you to the generations that they bear fruit to. So the reason behind Threads by Dreads Foundation was kind of like an ode to our ancestors of Ghana, in addition to my mother and father as well. That basically, sacrificed so much as well too for me to be here, for my siblings to be here, and to have the life that we had. We weren't rich, we weren't living in a 3-floor house or whatever you want to say. We were very frugal, very practical family. And uh, put it like this: you buy something, it better have 18 different uses before we do anything. It's not just
Multi-use,
yes.
75 in 1.
Yes, yes. So, with my mother's legacy, my dad's legacy, and learning more about what and who I am, visiting the Cape Coast Slave Castle is the birthing of the Threads by Dreads Foundation. That basically was what I used as a springboard to create the foundation to give back, not only to folks in Ghana but also to folks here in Nashville as well too. We do a lot of partnering up with local organizations and volunteering events as well too. That I don't usually do good at sharing stuff on social media, but we do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But it's definitely going to be changing soon, where I need to be getting more active with sharing stuff. But yeah, that's a rundown of the foundation.
Okay, and the recipients of these foundations for your mother and your dad, um,
Yeah,
what does that go to, and how does it help the students
absolutely.
their
Yeah,
respective fields?
absolutely. So the way that works, the way we fund the foundation is when we're doing pop-up events, and also when folks are like purchasing from the website as well too. 10% of sales goes towards our foundation. Like it's an automatic deduction. And with that, we're able to help out students that are either in college, high school, or taking classes at a technical trade school. So this past year, we awarded back in 2021 June, we awarded 9 students that were in college to complete their college degrees. So I didn't think that we would be doing that. I thought we were just gonna sponsor a child every now and then. I didn't. First of all, I didn't know we could even do that. Okay,
Right.
you know what I'm
Entrepreneurship is honestly the best school because you can learn
saying?
all the most practical things. Sometimes you learn super random odd things. You're like, I didn't know I needed to know that, but apparently I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, right. So yeah, but as far as tuition goes, usually whenever we're taking in applications, we go through the applications one at a time. Me and
Hmm.
myself and our one of our board of directors, and we're just looking through and listening to these students' stories. You know, these folks come from all backgrounds. Some of them are the first gen to go to college, go to high school. So they're the first ones in their family to complete that, even though they have other siblings that may be older, younger, or whatever the case. So it's important. It's important to hear them out and to understand um, why we're here to help. You know what our purpose is. So whenever folks purchase with our apparel line, 10% goes towards our foundation, helps out students complete their those degrees as far as technical trade, college, or high school. High school education in Ghana is not free. In addition to your elementary, middle school, it's not free at all. There
Oh,
are
wow.
some programs that the government tried to implement. I don't know if it's still going on as we speak now, where they were trying to help high school students. I think it was like maybe 10th and 11th grade, so to speak, with free high school. But we're still here. We're still here helping those students. So I really don't know how successful it is. But I do know, President Nana Akufo-Addo has, stood his ground on saying, hey, we don't need your handouts. He didn't say that to me personally, but he said that, like it was a press conference he did with the French Prime Minister, and it was like, yeah, we don't need your money, we good. But then again, you say that as a president of a country, but you still have folks that are in cities like Numa and cities like Kumasi that need help, that really need help. Like so, that's the reason why we keep doing what we do. So the scholarships cover their tuition, their school
Hmm.
fees, room and board, any fees associated with their tuition costs. It covers all of that. So
And that covers
that
over just in students over in Ghana, or can someone, let's say I go back to school, could
I
I apply?
know. Yeah. So the thing is, it's only in Ghana for right now.
Okay.
The tuition out here ain't
Yeah,
no
wow.
joke. Look,
Family move to
look.
Ghana and
If
apply
that's the
for
case,
Threads by Dreads Foundation.
let me apply. I need a scholarship
Little
too.
highlight. Yeah.
Shoot, I'm still paying on my student loans as we speak.
Right.
And I
Come
still
on,
don't
Biden.
know. I still don't know what the hell I learned at that college. I went to Tribeca Nazarene. Shout out to what they doing over there, but I still am not using any of that curriculum that I learned over there to apply to any of my
We use
life
like 5%, maybe
experiences.
10% every now and then.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know. YouTube, podcasts, what is it? Google Learning, free learning as much as possible, bro. It's yeah. I can't sit up here and say I suggest my nieces and nephews to go to college unless it's for like a specialty experience or something. But business, bro, just go open your own LLC or something, or start your own business and figure it out.
And just
Get a
network.
mentor. Yes.
Network and read and
Yes. Soak
be in
it
people's
up.
faces all day. Well, you really can't be in people's faces because the panorama's still around.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
they got an email. They got a website somewhere you can contact
Right.
them. They got social media
Right.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
you feel like for the success of Threads by Dreads,
Hmm.
you felt like you feel more success when you're able to be out in front of people,
Hmm.
or you kind of rely on the education. You kind of answered it, but like, where do
Yeah.
you feel like most of your success and most of your experience from?
As far as like with the parent line or with the foundation, like the
Both,
success of the parent
like
line.
with
Oh,
Threads by
okay.
Dreads as the
Yeah.
line and as the foundation.
Yeah, I think what draws people in is the clothing line, but it adds more value when they find out that we do a lot more than just clothes. Like, we're using some of the fabric that we actually discard, like our fabric remnants, our scraps. We actually use some of that and donate it to artists here in town to use for their artwork. So it is like, oh, okay, cool. In addition to that, oh, you guys also give back to students in Ghana? What? Just for me buying this fanny pack? Yo, take this money.
Right. Take it
So
off.
yeah, it's so beautiful. It really is. And I've still got a lot to learn when it comes to manufacturing, merchandising, and retail apparel, and having ready wear, all that stuff. But I'm excited to see how people react and how they accept and react to the clothing. To see that, hey, these are different spins that we're putting on your everyday wear, African wear. So just trying to make it to where it's more common. It's not just clothing for Black History Month. I'm Black 365 damn days a year, so I'm gonna
Yes.
wear what makes me feel good.
I got you. I got you. And I
Yeah,
kind of want to talk about your designs on your clothes.
sure.
And just kind of like the inspiration. Is it just kind of like you putting these shapes together and colors together and they look
Bro,
good? Or is
no.
it because of like, because sometimes like dashikis, for
Yeah,
example, like
yeah.
dashikis represent different things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you try to have your designs represent different things, or are you like, oh, that's just a dope ass
Yeah,
design and I'm gonna
yeah.
throw some colors at it?
Absolutely. So I am definitely an addict of fabric. Marquita can speak to this, and she can also be like, every time we go home, she's like, "Oh, so this where you've been hiding all that fabric at, huh?" So, but I definitely look at fabric. I look for geometric shapes. I look for natural things of nature, right? Like your plants, your flowers, um, the sun, the moon, things of that nature, animals. But for the most part, when it comes to meaning behind some, there are some fabrics that are used for celebratory things, like your kente. In addition to that, you have some fabrics that have the colors in the fabric mean things as well. So for Ashanti, sometimes Ashanti tribe folks may wear red. It's like a bright red with black sometimes, or they just red solid reds. So I try to stay away from colors that are just for that particular thing. Like if it's something for a funeral, I'm not gonna get that fabric and be like, hey, um, I'm gonna make a whole line of clothes out of this fabric because it feels weird to me. But if somebody wants it, here you go. Definitely, could do whatever you want to do with it. But I try to ask questions about the significance of the fabric, the meanings behind the fabric as well too, um, just so that I'm able to make sure that I'm protecting my culture as much as I can. And not watering it down or making it to where I'm just producing mass shit and here you go. So
Right.
yeah.
And I know you do custom colors, and
Mhm.
custom designs.
Yeah, batik
And
and tie dye. Mhm.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And then
Yeah.
with the custom design, someone tells you whatever design, like I want something
Sure.
for like our wedding reception, and we
Yeah.
want something like that. Does that like inspire certain colors? Like you think about like, oh, they're doing something for a wedding, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something that imitates like a Ghanaian wedding and
Mhm.
the colors they use for those traditionally. Like, do you try to
Yeah.
incorporate those, or you just like
Yeah.
whatever the person tells you, this is the color I want, and you just gotta, or do you try to guide them like, hey, like since you're doing it for a wedding, Ghanaian
Mhm.
weddings usually have these colors. This is the colors
Mhm.
I'm willing to do for that,
Mhm.
or even for you can even have it for a funeral or like graduation and things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Like, how does that situation in that person's life
Mhm.
inspire the colors and materials and the style you make things in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tend to rely more on what the person that is getting the work done. I rely on what their expectations are and what they would like. So I do ask a ton of questions, especially when it comes to details. So that I'm able to understand. and make sure I can see it before we actually produce it. Um, in some cases, the fabric is not an issue, but there are some instances where nowadays some Ghanaian weddings actually also, they're wearing suits now, so it's like it's dope. But then they'll have a traditional wedding, and then they'll have a Western traditional wedding, so to speak, theme, and then they'll also have like a Ghanaian wedding type of style. So you'll have the kente, you'll have both the husband and wife or whoever the married couple is both are wearing kente, draped, chiseled to perfection. So, but I tend to go whatever the artist or not artist, excuse me, whatever the client wants. But I also try to put in some ideas like, hey, think about this. Like, if you put this here, this is what it's going to look like. Or how about we stick within colors that are within this range of colors because of this time of the year, or pertaining to like you said, the wedding. They may have their own theme. So are they the best woman, groom, bride, whatever the case is? Try to make stuff that makes sense so that you're not like looking crazy at this wedding or whatever function it is. Um, and having niggas coming at my neck and talking about, hey, why did you make this team for this person? Hmm? So yeah, yeah. Try to do it, make it make sense. So
I got you. I got you.
yeah,
That's awesome. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking at my glass. It's empty.
Oh snap,
I
refill.
definitely want. I need to refill that, and I definitely want to get into more of our conversation.
Sure.
It's kind of going beyond the story and in the second part, and we'll get into that. But I'm going to fill up my second glass. We're going to get
Okay.
into part two here in like
Okay.
a couple minutes.
Okay. No problem.